What's up guys, my name is Not Explosive and today I hope to bring you guys an interesting video, but also a video that talks about the current state of the meta. I want you to think to yourself, is it better to go first or to go second, and by how much? That is the question that I had when I set out to start taking samples for this video. And at the end of all this, I was enormously surprised, and I think you might be too. So this video took a little bit extra time to make, just because not only did I have to actually research how to properly do this experiment and account for all the different variables that I had to face, but also I had to record each individual game one by one, and that took a whole heap of time. I will explain my method for accumulating and presenting the results now, but if you don't want to sit through this jibber jabber and just want the results, I will post a link in the description section of this video to where I just discuss the results. But for those of you who do want to ensure that I did all of this correctly, here's how I came to my results. The normal win rate, if all else is held constant, is 50-50, and this is because one of the two players must win the duel, obviously not counting for ties. So the formula for your win rate should look something like this. Your win rate equals how skilled you are, plus how lucky you are, plus whether your matchups are favorable or not favorable, plus any bonus advantage you get going first versus going second. A game only based on skill would mean that the most skilled player wins every time. And since the coin toss can land either heads or tails, skill is a non-factor because in the long run a skilled player would win equal amount of games going first or going second. For the purposes of this video, skill also includes card quality because card quality is also important in winning games. Luck is the next variable, and like in any casino, luck plays a smaller role in winning given more attempts. A roulette player, for example, might win 10 straight early, but over 500 games, he will still end up broke, guaranteed. By taking 500 samples, I tried to ensure that luck played as small a role as possible in the results. The issue of matchups can be solved by taking a diverse and random sample. Instead of recording only harpies against gravekeepers, which I could have for 500 games and then claimed I found something, but in reality that statistic would have been nothing but hot air. It was super paramount that I take the results of different decks and more importantly different duelists, because different duelists also have different playstyles. After recording more than 100 different duelists and many more different decks, I firmly believe that I have negated any direct influence matchups had on the equation. With skill, luck, and matchups being accounted for, I again firmly believe that the following results should only reflect the difference between going first and going second. For those of you rejoining here, let's get into the actual results. Out of 500 games, I recorded 217 wins going first and 283 wins going second. This means that going second tends to be much more favorable, broadly speaking. Exactly how favorable? Well, 13.2% more favorable for the side going second as an average across all matchups among different decks and different duelists. But numbers for numbers' sake is just stupid. So I'm going to add some perspective here. Let's assume that you are at Platinum 3, needing 5 wins in a row to reach King of Games. Your chances of getting King of Games, assuming you go first in all 5 games, and everything else is held equal, is 1.539%. Now contrast this with the result of the same scenario, but instead you go second for all 5 games. The chances of winning all 5 games are 5.809%. Going second gives an almost 4 times greater advantage reaching King of Games than going first. But okay, you all will raise a fair point about how this is a broad statistic with a whole bunch of assumptions, and that is a fair point. So let's say instead that you are a star with skills and cards that surpass everyone else. In this situation, you are going to win this duel 75% of the time before the coin flip. Now, the coin flips and you're going first. How likely are you to win this duel? Well, that number goes down from 75% to 69.7%. And that means for your opponent, who had a quarter of a chance to win before this, their chances of winning have moved up to a third just because of the coin flip. They've done nothing, you've done nothing, the only difference was the coin flip. So what does this mean? As many of you already knew, this game has a certain element of luck, but what should shock you and what shocked me is just the amount of games determined by a coin flip. Sometimes going first against a strong opponent, or even any opponent really, can feel like a death sentence. It also helps to explain why some people playing against the 30 card decks had such a hard time. With each player only starting out with 4 cards, and your opponent drawing into an extra card on their turn, you might be down a single card, but statistically, you are down 25% of the resources your opponent has. Now, your foe can set up their field and be comfortable constantly trading 1 for 1, knowing that they will continue to maintain your advantage. And you, as the first player, to win, have to catch your opponent overreaching, misplaying, or otherwise failing to maintain advantage. Doing that isn't always possible. So first turn always stuck with a disadvantage. I don't really believe so. The results will continue to shift and change as cards are introduced to the game. For example, let's talk about Taya Burn. The deck loves to go first because of Restructure Evolution. It does more damage on Taya's first turn because you have a lot of cards in hand, and combined with Duel Standby, it does even more damage. But let's talk a little bit about Duel Standby as well. Duel Standby gives each player an extra card. Now, having more resources in hand means that the percentage of resources you are down by going first is cut from 25% to 20%. This combination, among other things, gives Taya players an advantage going first. But another card that I want to talk about is called Champion's Vigilance. I'm sure some of you have heard about it, just some. Opening with Champions allows you to disrupt your opponent as they play with combos, and this transfers some advantage to you, because if your opponent isn't able to properly set up and you're going first, then you get a lot of momentum. And I can hear some of you thinking, why don't we just add in some cards that can help swing the balance? I don't think that adding cards is the best idea for addressing this in the short to medium term. Cards can be used by you, of course, to swing the advantage your way, but they can also be used by your opponent to further thrash you. It's a double-edged sword. I think the real answer, unique to this game, is adding characters and skills that work more effectively going first versus going second. I personally think a decent example of this would be Bandit Keith's skill called Sleight of Hand. The skill gives you an extra card, which can be used to come back in the duel. Albeit, the card is only good for machine decks, and you have to have lost a decent amount of life points to use it. I think a generic version of the skill might be a way of reducing or closing the gap. But I am sure all of you will give me your 2 cents in the comments down below. As we approach the end of the video, I would love to hear from you guys. Whether you guys enjoyed the video, found it helpful, what you guys think about going first versus going second. So comment that down below. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more informative Duel Links content that you won't find anywhere else. Thank you for watching.